Hey everybody, Grant Wise here, and I'm excited for what I expect to be a great conversation about solar and real estate and all of the positive benefits that this incredible source of energy that we all have access to can have on owning a home and the impacts it can have on selling a home. I'm so excited today. I've got Mr. John Hrudicka with Renew Solar Solutions, who's popped by to have a quick conversation with me about all of the benefits of solar. So, John, man, thanks for sitting here and chatting with me for a bit.
Yeah, happy to do it.
Love it. Give us your story. I know that it wasn't always the joys of being a solar entrepreneur. You've got quite the story, man. Tell us.
Yeah, no, I have probably quite a bit different background. I don't come from the trade or construction or anything like that. I was actually a former CFO of billion-dollar level companies, both public and private. I was that guy on that quarterly call with the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street analysts being peppered about why we didn't make revenue or profit. And I grew rather disenchanted with companies making short-term decisions at the sacrifice of long-term strategy and what was best for the customer, all to appease Wall Street. And there's two kinds of CFOs. There's the accountant CFO and there's the strategic operations CFO. I'm the latter. I routinely had a strategy management office report to me, so I'm a big believer in strategy and being long-term in terms of how you operate a company. So my wife and I decided to start our own company. And we said if we ever did that, we were going to be long-term, never deviate from that, even at the detriment of profit. Believe me, as we've gone through this journey, it's been at the detriment of profit, but we're now, I believe, prospering because we've done it the right way. We treat customers the right way, and we have integrity and honesty.
That's awesome. Obviously, you and I, we've talked a lot about solar and about real estate and just all of the benefits. Obviously, these two industries really go hand in hand with each other. Maybe just from your perspective, kick this off with why even solar for you? I mean, I always come back like, okay, why is this important? Why do we need it? What was it about solar, especially as somebody that came kind of like outside of the industry? Like, why was this model it for you? Why was solar so attractive for you?
Fantastic question. Very simply, when my wife and I decided to start our own company, we wanted to start own a company that had purpose. I'm a big believer in climate change. I've studied the reports. I follow it, and I know people like to make it a political conversation, but I think it's just one of science. I mean, the things that are happening this day and age, all the wildfires out west, the 15 to 20 named storms every year. I mean, this is not coincidence. And so we felt like while our company was not going to wipe this away, every little bit helps in terms of contributing towards a more healthy planet. And probably the business side of me, I always felt like solar would be a high growth industry. It's interesting. A lot of people gravitate to solar initially if they don't know a lot about it because they want to reduce their energy bill. And they don't realize that there's so many other benefits. In fact, most of our customers that actually sign contracts with us, they do it for energy independence. They do it because they don't want to be shackled to a utility and all the risks and the vulnerability associated with. If you do any research, there's a lot of international and terrorism, domestic terrorism relative to our grid threats. A lot of rolling blackouts, outages. The grid is frail. Grid's frail. You're going to see utilities make billions of dollars of investments in our infrastructure, not only to upgrade the infrastructure, but to increase power capacity. And from a regulatory perspective, they have the right to recover that investment. And they'll do that via rate increases. So we have a lot of people actually more important to them on the economic side. In addition to reducing their bill, they're actually more concerned about hedging against future utility rate increases.
That's fascinating. I've read some of what you're talking about, and it's like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, there's some of that stuff. Obviously, I can venture off to the deep end of Twitter, maybe more than I should, but there's certainly things that I've read. It's like, that seems fascinating.
Well, you know what dawned on me, and it sounds so simplistic, but I never thought of it this way, and a lot of homeowners still don't think of it this way, is that generally speaking, people aspire to own their homes. They don't aspire to rent their homes. But yet, when they own their homes, they rent their power. That is inextricably linked to that home, that is the foundation for that home. I mean, people don't realize how important power is until they don't have it. And so now what's happening is more and more people are saying, I own my home, I'm going to own my power. and try to mitigate some of these major risks that are on the horizon associated with utility.
I go back to real estate. One of the first things that comes up for me as we talk about energy independence, which is kind of where you're going, is like, well, I want solar energy because I want to be independent. I want to own my power. I don't want to be beholden to some company. I certainly had an experience myself with a water company just a week ago where I was like, man, it would be wonderful not to have to rely on this institution for this. But the question I always am curious about is like home values. How does having solar impact home values? I've read numerous articles on this kind of in preparation for this conversation. I saw some very unique statistics, but I didn't know if you had any insight on how having solar impacts home values.
Yeah, I sure do. And first of all, before I answer that question, we have a lot of people headquartered in Nashville. So we're in Tennessee. We have a lot of people moving here from out west, particularly California. And these people are coming from an area where solar is much more common. And they come here either looking for a home that has solar or buying a home and putting solar on, or many of them are coming here and constructing homes from new and want to come out of the box with solar. So I think it's becoming more commonplace that people want to pair solar with their home. In terms of value, there's a few statistics out there. And, as it relates to real estate, Zillow used to have a statistic out there that it would add 4% to the home. I don't know where they get that figure because really the value added to your home is commensurate with the size of the system and batteries and such. And they recently raised that to 6.8%.
Wow, that's a big bump.
The most common benchmark out there is 20 times annual savings.
That's what I've read. 20 times, you get like $20 in home value for every dollar you save off your utility bill. Yeah.
Yes. So if you saved $1,000 a month, in theory, it would add $20,000 to the value of your home. And I always tell people we have a federal tax credit, 30%. All you have to do is have tax liability. We have a depreciation program. I won't go into the throes of that. And then when you add the value added to your home, literally you can make the case that you're getting paid to go solar.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, when you sit down and you look at it logically, like we're talking about, the benefits seem to far outweigh the negatives. But are there situations where maybe solar doesn't make sense? Like maybe it doesn't make sense to put solar on a home? Or are you seeing more often than not in the Nashville market? No, actually, it makes more sense.
The only time I think it does not make sense, solar produces best when the array is facing south. Somebody can only put it on their roof and they only have a nice big north-facing roof surface. They're not going to get the production for the investment that they're making, and maybe it doesn't make sense. But as long as you have good direction facing for your array, whether it's a ground mount or whether it's a roof mount, I think it makes all the sense in the world. Because remember, we have a lot of people who buy generators, right, to safeguard themselves against an outage. Nobody asks what the return on investment or payback is on a generator, because it just sits there idle. In fact, people forget about it until you have a power outage. And then what happens with generators is they generally don't last that long because people don't maintain them because, again, they don't think about them. Solar and batteries, very different. You don't have to do a thing to maintain batteries. And batteries will last well beyond 20 years. In fact, we have a program called SolarInsure that we offer to our customers that actually provides a warranty, a 30-year warranty on their batteries. And in fact, SolarInsure is backed by Zurich, which is an AM Best A+ rated insurance carrier. So it's the strength of the strength in terms of financial backing. And when people hear that, they're blown away because people think about car batteries maybe don't last more than 5 years. On the solar panels, have amazing longevity. We have a solar panel. We believe it's the best in the market. And we believe in premium equipment that has a warranty of 40 years. And after the 40th year, it's actually retaining 94% of its very first day production. So these systems are going to last quite a while. They're going to be productive, probably well beyond what people need. So there's a lot of peace of mind that these systems are going to be around for a while.
That's incredible. I know that we're talking about a lot of this, and I'm going to put you on a spot with a question. But one of the things that you hear, I hear it sometimes in real estate, I've heard it across the country, is you hear it from real estate agents. Like, yeah, maybe solar is good, but I don't like recommending it to my clients. Now, what I typically have grown to understand is they don't want to recommend something that slows down the real estate transaction because they want to make sure that things happen on time, that closings happen on time. And there are a lot of fly-by-night solar institutions that shouldn't exist. I also believe that that's true. But what are some maybe common misconceptions about solar that real estate agents themselves may not be fully read in on? And it's like, oh, okay, well, I thought it was this, and you're saying, what are some of those common misconceptions that real estate agents can have about solar?
Well, there's a few things to unravel there. One, you said about there's a lot of fly-by-night predatory, and there is. Solar, admittedly, is a low-trust industry. It's why when you first called me, Grant, you told me you were interviewing me, which I loved, because anybody who spends or makes this type of investment should do this with 150% trust in terms of the person sitting across the table from them that is going to execute on this investment. So we're 5-star. We've never had a complaint on BBB. We're A+. We're all that stuff. We've got a lot of external recognition, and we've worked hard to do that because I understand the level of trust it takes to make this leap and make this investment. As for a real estate agent, I think they have to understand the momentum and the trend of people wanting to become independent. It's not about just reducing your bill anymore. People want independence. People want to own their home. They want to own their power. I actually think the opposite. Yes. Could it slow down a little bit? Yes. I actually think it becomes an advantage. I actually think for that realtor who is proactive in facilitating solar for a home, I think that person long term is going to do better than the agent who does not. And again, as the trend and the momentum continues, I think ultimately it's probably going to be the ante in the game. I have 6 new builders this year that we did not work with last year that contacted us that are now pairing solar with their homes.
Yeah, it's become such a widely requested feature of new construction.
Exactly. And I think it's becoming, again, I hate to overuse this word, but I think solar or renewable energy in your home, it's becoming inextricably linked. So, like I said, I think agents are going to get left behind if they don't embrace this.
Let's unpack that for a second, because if I'm an agent listening to this, I say, well, why? Like, how does solar give me that advantage? Do you have some thoughts there?
People don't have a lot of knowledge about solar. They don't know where to start. And if that agent has a rudimentary level of knowledge and they have a partner like us that they can quickly pair them up with and educate them and inform them. And I don't have any salespeople. I don't have a salesperson that goes out to somebody's home. I have an energy consultant. The very first point of contact is a 45-minute consultation call. All we're doing is providing them information, knowledge, understanding of the program in Tennessee, technology, the differentiation of our company. So I think if an agent was able to provide that service to a homeowner that's maybe likely has thought to some degree about renewable energy, I think they're going to feel like that is a significant value add versus the agent that doesn't and just wants to rush them across the closing.
It certainly is an opportunity for them to demonstrate their expertise on all things related to the home. I mean, it's so important. Real estate agents don't just need to know how to navigate a transaction. They need to know everything about a house. That's why the consumer continues to choose to use a real estate agent, is for their knowledge and their professionalism and the expectation that if I'm going to work with this realtor, they know their stuff. Like they knew every part about the house and they helped me navigate the transaction.
That's a fantastic point. I want to take that a little bit further. If a real estate agent takes the time to introduce solar, renewable energy, facilitate conversations with whatever it may be, I think that homeowner is going to perceive that real estate agent isn't just trying to make a sale, that they actually care. They care about the interest of that homeowner and that they get a holistic experience, right, with their new home. And of course, whenever I buy something, if somebody's selling me something and I actually think they genuinely care about my best interest, that's the person I'm going to work with.
You know, sometimes in the middle of a real estate transaction can be the best time to bring it up because A, like you're talking about, it demonstrates that you really care about the homeowner's best interest. And I think that's very important in today's climate from a real estate standpoint. We've got to really look at ways that we can be viewed at as more than just realtors. It's like, well, I'm a realtor. That should be enough. It's like, well, yeah. But as the industries change and things evolve, we've got to look for ways that we can stand out.
You have to show value beyond just selling a home. So for our business, we have generator partners. We have a lot of customers that are overly protective of their home. And so not only solar and batteries, but they like to supplement it with a generator. Now, we're not a generator company, but we have generator partners. And we actually facilitate that for them. We'll contact the generator company and have them come out and do an appointment, and we'll facilitate all that for them. And so that's just something else that they don't have to do that brings them a more comprehensive solution.
And it creates a much better customer experience.
Oh, yeah.
But where I was going with that is like sometimes the best time to bring it up is in the middle of a real estate transaction because, and correct me here because maybe I'm speaking out of turn, is that there's a lot of things that can be done with financing in the middle of a real estate transaction for solar programs. Those things can be lumped into their mortgage or there's other financing objectives. But if they can accomplish both of those things, if they can get their solar rolled into their mortgage, it creates an easier kind of like on-ramp into the solar space for the consumer, right?
Absolutely. And even let's just say that homeowner has thought about solar, but they're not quite ready, but they know they want to do it in the future. We can do a number of things to be proactive. And so when they are ready, they're going to hit the ground running. But yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more in that regard.
Talk to me about some of the other programs that are available. There's grants, there's rebates, there's all types of stuff, incentives that exist for the consumer to go solar, right?
Well, it depends on the state you're in. Unfortunately, Tennessee doesn't have any incentives at this point. I know they're working on towards that. I've actually, over a year ago, I partnered with a congresswoman who wanted to bring more attention to solar and bring more behind it. I would say outside of the federal tax credit, there's depreciation and, of course, the value. And so literally you could get paid to go solar. But there's other things that we do. For example, we will install EMP shields. EMP shields protect you against electromagnetic pulse strikes, lightning strikes. In fact, it has a $25,000 insurance policy on the lightning strikes. You wouldn't believe how many people, when they hear about EMP shields, yes, do that. They just want to protect their home. We have a device that we install. It's called Sense. It actually monitors every appliance and device in the house and tells that homeowner actually how much power they're consuming at the individual appliance and device level. And so they can manage their power more effectively. We have something called Pearl Certified. Pearl is actually an organization that certifies energy efficiency services products at the HVAC solar. And they vet their partners very, very diligently. So, in fact, they work with less than 1% of all the solar contractors across the U.S. We're one of them. They have a portal by which that homeowner can house all their energy efficiency, everything, all their documentations, everything like that. And literally is a great selling tool that if they ever sold their home, they can turn that over to the next homeowner. So, outside of incentives, we try to bring more to the solution than just racking in panels. We try to bring an energy management solution to them.
I mean, if you're telling me there's a device that whenever my kids leave the light on in the house, I can actually go to and say, hey.
Yes. In fact, there is technology out there. There's smart panels as well that literally you can control your kids' lights in their room.
That might be worth it just based off of that.
Yeah. I mean, these devices, like if you left the oven on, you left the house, it's going to tell you. It's going to tell you through an app, hey, you left the oven on.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible technology.
Yeah. When I sit here and think solar, I kind of go directly to electricity. And so I'm thinking, but when you really sit down and think about it, I mean, it's everything. It's everything that you utilize in your home, and the level of efficiency that you can help people create is just, I mean, it's amazing.
And the other thing is we have homeowners. I mean, think about the age of the internet. My daughter would probably rather give up her left arm than give up, internet or her phone, right? So people go crazy if they lose power at the home. You have a lot of people who work remote from home. So power and stability is even more important this day and age in that regard. And like I said, people, they kind of take their power for granted. Then they have an outage and then all of a sudden they don't.
Yeah, that's 100%. I think what I'm taking away from a lot of this, especially as I look at this from a perspective of like a real estate agent, which is a lot of who I interact with, it's not that I need to go recommend solar to everybody that I come in contact with. It's that I need to educate myself on the benefits that this has to offer. And when I educate myself on the benefits this has to offer, I'm going to want to go recommend it to everybody because it actually is in most people's best interests. And so I think that would be my message after this interview, John, is just if you're a real estate agent and you just finished watching this, it's like, man, connect with John. Like, connect with the expert that's going to be able to help educate you, because you're going to look like so much more of a real estate authority than you previously did. So,
Yes, I couldn't agree more. So I'm going to be doing, as you know, I'm going to be doing a little Solar 101 training in January for some of the agents that decide to attend. And from an agent perspective, you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be technical. There's about 2 layers deep of knowledge that you'll want to have, and you'll sound like you know a lot more than you do. And that's really all you need, because when you go deeper with this, you'll want to turn it over to a partner like us.
and that too, in and of itself, makes you look bigger than you really are. As a real estate professional, when you can come into any conversation and you can competently share information about a specific topic, and then you can professionally make an introduction to the person that can help carry that conversation on. As a business professional, you make yourself look so much bigger than you actually are in real estate. Even if you never sold a house before, if you come in and you have the competence to talk about the things surrounding the home, and it's like, no problem, I got John I'm going to be able to connect you with, and he's going to be able to really dive in and explain. That makes you look like such a professional that has their stuff together. And that in and of itself is going to help you grow your business.
It's interesting you say that, because we invest a lot in training and certifications. And so, for example, I've got a president of my company started with us from the very beginning. He was just a journeyman electrician. Now he's a master electrician. He has all the NAPCEP certifications, which is solar certifications. I have another person who was a welder that started with us. He has all the NAPCEP certifications. Now he's a licensed electrician. And I encourage them to talk detail, technical detail with the homeowner, because what it does, it creates credibility. Like, okay, these guys know what they're talking about. Like I said, there's a purpose why I don't have salespeople. I don't want salespeople who don't understand the technology talking to a homeowner, and that homeowner senses it right away. And then we lack trust, right? It's like, well, do you really know what you're doing? And can you really advise me? Can you guys really pull this? And with us, because we're able to talk in that manner, we enlist trust immediately with that homeowner. I will also tell you from an agent perspective, because of the trend and momentum that I talked about, you're going to have more and more people that when they're buying a home, that they may ask that agent, hey, what do you know about solar? And if that agent can't talk at all relative to solar, they're going to be thought of less, I think, in terms of their overall competency or ability to add value to that homeowner, versus if they can talk solar, they're going to wow that homeowner, right? Like, oh my gosh, you know about solar too.
It's so good. I mean, it's not just solar, it's anything. You want to be able to, as a real estate professional, talk about everything related to real estate. And this is just one of those things that is becoming a bigger and bigger topic. It's becoming way more widely requested. And so if you're listening to this, my encouragement to you, reach out to John. He wants to chat with you. He doesn't want to sell you anything. He wants to educate you so that you can go out and educate your clients. And that's only going to help you grow your business. So John, thank you so much, man, for sitting down and having this discussion with me. I really appreciate it. This is a very insightful conversation. And so I love learning. I appreciate the opportunity to get to learn a little bit more about the positive impacts of solar and real estate. So I appreciate it, man. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I know everybody that watches this is really going to enjoy it.
Thank you, Grant.
Thank you.